I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want there is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents. Make my wish underneath the Christmas tree. I just want there is one thing I need. I don't care about the presents. Make my wish underneath the Christmas tree. I just want there is one thing I need. I don't care about the presents. Make my wish underneath the Christmas tree. I just want there is one thing I need. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. Don't care
Ivy Legacy Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit founded in 1995 by members of the Rho Theta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. We are committed to developing programs and securing resources to impact positive change in the greater Philadelphia community. This organization was initially created to raise scholarship money for college-bound graduating high school seniors, as well as non-traditional students pursuing higher education. We have awarded more than $350,000 in scholarships to date, a legacy we are proud to continue. For 27 years, our signature fundraiser, Philly's Men Are Cooking, has featured the culinary creations of local chefs, both amateur and professional. Usually they prepare and serve their signature dishes for our PMAC attendees to enjoy. However, due to the pandemic, our 28th annual event has gone virtual. Thankfully, you can still enjoy those signature recipes in a different way. They'll be on display in our fundraiser cookbook this year. Those can be purchased at $25 each, and all proceeds will go towards scholarships. So be sure to order your cookbook today. Our virtual Philly's Men Are Cooking will also host a virtual Chefinar series where you can meet, cook, and chat with some Philly faves as they whip up a new dish each week. For more information, visit the Ivy Legacy Foundation website at ivylegacy.org, and don't miss the 28th annual Philly's Men Are Cooking.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Antoinette Lee, and I'll be your host for tonight. I am a member of the Rho Theta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and you may hear my voice on the radio from time to time on KYW News Radio 1060 or our new FM station 103.9. On behalf of the Ivy Legacy Foundation and Rho Theta Omega, thank you to everyone tuning in. We have a great event planned for you tonight with some surprises in store. Tonight is also special because this is our final event for our November Chefinar series. If you missed our previous shows, you can find those on the Ivy Legacy Foundation Facebook and YouTube pages. As you heard earlier, this Chefinar series has been about supporting our youth, supporting the outreach, the mentoring programs, the scholarships. That is the mission of the Ivy Legacy Foundation. And this cookbook that we're selling this evening, it's so important because it's taking place of our largest fundraiser, which would usually be in person. So the money we raise from your purchases, that's what's going to help us make a difference in the lives of young people in the Philadelphia area. Now, you'll be hearing a lot more about the Ivy Legacy Foundation and our cookbook throughout the night. For now, let me introduce you to our celebrity chef for tonight. Tonight, we have with us celebrity chef Dana Herbert. What he's most known for is his lavish cakes. You may have seen him on Fox 29 doing cooking demos. He's also the winner of the TLC hit show, The Next Great Baker. He even has his own television show called The Chef Dana Cooking Show. He's whipped up his cakes for Oprah and Joe Biden. And I think we have some footage of those cakes. Let's see, can we roll that?
Put your name on it. Put your name on it. Come and put your name on it. Your name, but you wanna put your name on it. Put your name on it. Come and put your name on it.
He want that cake, 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 cake. Ooh, baby, I like it. Cake, 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 cake.
All right, now it was the pink and green cake for me. There was a familiar face there at the end, Sharia Dixon Turner. She's our second vice president for the chapter. Shout out to her. Hey, sis. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in the man of the hour, Chef Dana Herbert. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We're not baking a cake tonight, but you have another delicious recipe in store for us, right?
I do. Welcome everyone to my kitchen. I'm so excited to be back with Ivy Legacy Foundation and those lovely ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Tonight, we're gonna make a maple glazed salmon. This is a quick and easy one that you guys can do. I know in the hustle and bustle of everything, you wanna be able to get in the kitchen and out of the kitchen, but have delicious food at the same time. So we're doing maple glazed salmon tonight. An alternative would be to use the same on the chicken. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how quick and easy it can be to make this dish. First thing that I'm going to want to do though is I'm going to want to swoop back over here and I'm going to turn my oven on. I'm going to put it on about 400 right now. 400 so that when I put my salmon in there with the glaze on it, it's going to work pretty quickly. The other thing I'm going to do back here is I'm going to turn on the pan. Let's get some heat on that. All right, we'll put a little love in the pan. So I'm gonna put that on about a medium heat. So the only two things I'm really got going on back here is I have the saute pan on medium heat and I have the oven on 400. You will need a little dish for your salmon. So I'll keep that handy right there. So once I sear my salmon, then I'll be able to put it onto the into the dish and we'll cook it in the oven. So let me show you how quick and easy this is to do the glaze. All right, so for the glaze, couple simple ingredients. We have some maple syrup. I got some fresh ginger. Could you use the other ginger from the cabinet, the powdered one? Sure, if you don't have the fresh. I just like the fresh because it gives you a whole lot of depth in your flavor. I have some a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a little mustard, a little salt, red pepper flakes, some chopped garlic, and some oil. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up this garlic. I already cut the ginger ahead of time, but I'm going to cut up this garlic, just watching our fingers.
All right, now watch those fingers.
That's it. This is how daddy makes his money. You got to be careful.
Now, folks can find this recipe in our cookbook and it can be replaced with chicken. Is there a vegetarian option?
Well, I don't have a vegetarian option per se. However, for those that are, doing lots of things nowadays with tofu and so forth, you could do it on tofu.
Right.
You could.
Yeah, I love tofu.
Yep. So I remember the first time I had tofu when I was younger, and a lot of times you'd see it in some of the Asian style soups. And I would be like, "Mommy, what is that?" And she'd be like, "Tofu," and I'm like, "Tofu what?" And she's like, "No, tofu. It's a vegetarian, but it's a protein." I said, "Oh, okay." Yep, but you'll find it's in lots of dishes nowadays. It is.
So what's the trick to picking out the best salmon? I see you got a nice piece of fish there.
Well, a lot of times in picking out the salmon, I like to go to the markets. Go to a seafood place if you can, but they're normally getting it in fresh. That's normally what I like the most. It shouldn't smell bad. Like a lot of people have this misnomer that, oh, it's fish smells fishy. Don't you hear that a lot of times? Fish smells fishy, and it really shouldn't smell like fishy. When things smell fishy, that's when things are starting to go bad. It should just be a very mild aroma. Okay, so we've got our garlic all chopped up, and now our garlic is going to go to the bowl.
Okay, garlic.
Let's put our garlic in the bowl, just like that. Get all those little pieces off of there. Okay, and then I'm gonna throw in my ginger. My dear friend Ginger. Anybody seen Ginger? Ginger was supposed to be hanging out with us last night.
Did you mince that yourself?
I minced that myself. I did.
All right.
We're gonna put in some red pepper flakes.
Gotta have the red pepper.
Yes. Let's put some apple cider vinegar in there. Give it a little tang. And then we talked about the mustard going in. Okay. And you could use, I'm using the spicy brown mustard. You could use Dijon mustard if you want to. We're going to put some oil in there, just a little bit. We're going to put the salt. And last but not least, we're going to put that maple syrup that we talked about. Can't have maple glaze without the maple in there, right?
That's right.
Now, I like to use maple syrup because it has a good flavor to it. My alternative on this one would be to use the king syrup. Now, my wife and my kids are like, king syrup, Daddy, that's so thick. I grew up on it. I love it. My grandma used to give it to me on my waffles, and I can't not use it now. I love it. But I'm going to use maple today. All right, so I'm just mixing up my glaze here.
All right, looking
So
good.
this is what I have in the bowl, right there. So if you're getting the book, you'll notice in there the recipe says there's a couple of ways to do this dish. One way would be to make this marinade, and you could put your salmon or your chicken in it, marinate it overnight, bring it out. When you bring it out, you kind of wipe off all the excess marinade. Once you wipe the excess marinade, then you would just sear your chicken or your salmon in the pan before you put it in the oven. The other way would be, of course, to make your marinade or make your glaze, sear your salmon or chicken, and then use your glaze right away. All right. So we'll set that to the side for a second.
And as he said, this is all in our cookbook, right? You can pre-order
that. That is all in the cookbook.
ivylegacy.org/events.
Yeah. When I went to my first Philly's Men Are Cooking, right? I didn't know what to expect. It was, it was my first time. And I was like, yo, these guys in here, they're really throwing down. So I had to come back year 2 and just step my game up.
Okay.
I know a lot of a lot of times, you're thinking, oh, these guys are amateurs and not pro chefs. Well, let me tell you, even these amateur chefs have some kick butt recipes in the book. They really do.
Skills.
I remember one gentleman named Earl, and I forget what Earl does professionally for a living, but Earl can fry some fish. He would have a huge line all the time at Philly's Men Are Cooking. All right, so come on over here with me for a second. We're going to cook our salmon, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this glaze. So I put a little bit of oil in the pan. I'm just going to let it warm up. Now, with anything you're searing in the pan, here's the mistake that a lot of people make, and I'm going to help you not make it. The mistake that a lot of people make is that they start cooking right away in a cold pan. Big no. If you start cooking in a cold pan, what happens is when you open up, or when the fish opens its pores up, the oil rushes inside and it becomes greasy. Same thing with any vegetable. If you ever been to someone's house, you're like, ooh, that food was greasy. Chances are they started cooking in a cold pan, and when the pores opened up, it just got out of control. And it just went all bad. So remember when we talked about method number 1, and if you had the glaze and you marinated your fish or chicken in there and you pulled it out overnight, and then we're wiping off the glaze. I'm going to show you something just because I want to make sure everybody does this safely. That leftover glaze, imagine this was it, right? We've wiped this off our chicken or fish or shrimp, whatever. What you want to do next is you want to take that glaze, which is what I'm doing right here, and then put it in a pot. And you're just going to bring it to a simmer. And we're doing that just so we can be safe. We want to make sure that any bacteria or anything like that was being killed in the process, and that we weren't going to be eating any microorganisms that might have found its way into our glaze from one of the proteins. So whenever you have a glaze that's left over from marinating, put it in the pot, bring it to a quick simmer or a boil. All right, so I got my pot on. I'm pretending that's what we're doing right here, that we've had it in there. So here is our salmon, right? Now I have it here. Let me show it to you. I have mine right here. I have the skin on. This is one thing where people, they're either on a yay or they're on a nay, right? With me and skin on fish, I eat it, but it's got to be crispy. It's got to be crispy. So I'm seasoning my skin with a little bit of salt and pepper right now. And then I'm going to put it in the oil that's in the pan. So there is my salt. Here is my pepper. All right. And I like cracked black pepper on mine. Kind of like when you go to the restaurant and you're getting a Caesar salad and the guy's like, would you like any cracked black pepper? For whatever reason, when you hit it with that cracked black pepper, just wake it up. It just wakes it up. All right. So let's test out our pan real quick. So the best way to test that out, old school like grandma, is you take that little droplet of water. And you listen for that sizzle. There it is. So we're going to go in the pan right now with our salmon. You should see that immediate sizzle. And then we're going to go in here with our next piece. Okay. Now it's important to season prior to cooking. And here's the reason why. When you're cooking, salt pulls all up and through the meat. So a lot of times, and I know we experience this a lot of times in families of color, Dad will go in there and the first thing he'll do is grab the salt, right? Salt and pepper shaker. It was almost like a habit versus a need to season the food more. So we do it as pros in the back. We're already seasoning so that the flavor can get into the meat. And then you'll find that you actually use less sodium later. I know a lot of times us as people of color, we experience high blood pressure and things like that. And so we just want to make sure we keep your heart healthy, right? No over sodium.
I love that you're teaching us some health lessons here.
Yes, I want to keep you guys around a long time.
We didn't know we were coming for a wellness course.
Oh, you did? I didn't tell you when you signed up. Yeah,
well,
yes. I used to work for the pharmaceuticals.
Let me ask you a quick question while you got that going.
Sure.
So you've had a pretty successful career. You've been on national television. Tell me if you've had any mentors to help you get to where you are.
You know, from being on TV and being in business, they're definitely two different things. So I've had different sets of mentors depending upon what I was focusing on. So luckily, my dad, he used to be a former president of DuPont Canada. So I always had dad all over me, so to speak, like, what are you doing? You doing this? You doing that? You doing this? You doing that? But my uncle was a banker. My brother is an attorney. And then I've had a bunch of wonderful mentors, even through going from college at University of Delaware and Johnson & Wales, later on Rhode Island. And through my career, I've had some great mentors on the business side. And then on the culinary side, you know, I've had other mentors that would school me to the television game, because there's two different worlds, totally different, and how to utilize them and where they can intersect. The one thing I had to really realize in my business was that I had two brands going on. And for the longest time, I thought it was just one, which was Desserts by Dana. But as I grew, it was like, oh, they want Chef Dana, but not the bakery. Oh, there's two brands. Got it. Oh. and you don't realize it sometimes.
Right. So mentoring is especially important, and that's what the Ivy Legacy Foundation is well known for. We mentor a lot of young girls, and that's why this cookbook is so important. You can find it ivylegacy.org/events, ivylegacy.org/events.
Well, Antoinette, let me tell you, the reason I got involved with Philly's Men Are Cooking and Ivy Legacy Foundation, I think I've been there like 4 or 5 times at least. And my mother was an educator. She taught in the public school systems. She's been gone about 2 years now, right around this time, right around Thanksgiving. But she was all about education and helping the youth. So when I found out what Ivy Legacy was doing, I was like, oh, wait a minute, they're doing 2 things I love, education and cooking. I mean, this is like a natural.
Exactly. And you know, a lot of people don't know you got 3 degrees, right? You're real
educated. I do. I do. My father would always say, are you coming out of school yet? But I got a degree, a bachelor's degree from the University of Delaware, so I'm a blue hen. I also have another one from Johnson and Wales in culinary arts, and I stayed and I did a pastry degree because my eyes used to actually sting and hurt from the onions we would have to cut, these 50-pound bags of onions all the time. And I would look over at these pastry kids, and they're making Van Goghs out of sugar, and I'm like, wait a minute. These guys have the life compared to me. Like, they are just all happy all the time.
So tell me, how did scholarships factor into your education?
You know, scholarships definitely factored into my education. And if there's any young people watching tonight, please focus on those grades. They matter more than you could think. Mom and dad will greatly appreciate the support of getting good grades and hopefully getting some scholarships. I benefited myself. I remember when I was going to school, I got my offer letters and my scholarship letters, and we laid them out on the table. And my dad was like, okay, well, it looks like you got one from here, you got one from Morehouse, you got one from Hampton. And here's the dollar amount. So look, if you want me to help you out, and that means I'm going to take care of the bill. that's what he's basically saying. I'm going to take care of the rest of the bill. You can go here, but I'm not going to tell you can't go to Hampton or Morehouse. However, if you do that, then you're going to have to absorb those loans. So he taught me my first business decision right there at the age of 17.
He sounds like a smart man.
Yeah, he said, let's make some decisions on how you want this to go. And so I chose to come out with no debt versus having to pay some.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to do, you know, help young people get that young start ahead by giving them scholarships. Tell us what you got going on there.
So what I have going on right here, I flipped the salmon over. I made sure that the skin was nice and crispy, like I could touch it and I feel that it's nice and crispy. Again, I like that it's crispy. One of the nice things about this is that once it gets crispy, what you're really doing is rendering out some of the fat that's in the fish. So you're bringing the fat content down a little bit in the fish.
Quick question. Someone from the audience wants to know, how do you know when to flip the salmon?
Well, I've been doing it a long time. That's why I can see it. But
we're not all pros, okay? We haven't all been cooking for 20 years.
Right. I know. These are the things that chefs we sometimes take for granted because we're like, oh, you just flip the fish, you know. But I was looking for how it started to get white coming up the sides. That was an indication that the bottom was getting a fair amount of heat because you see the sides starting to get white. So it told me that I needed to check it because it was starting to creep up. I knew that I wanted it crispy, so I was leaving it there a little while, but I did see it starting to creep on the sides. And you see the flesh goes from that pinky color to being opaque, and that's normally a sign that says I need to flip it.
All right, good to know.
Okay, so I'm gonna check the bottom of the salmon. The fish really doesn't take that long. See, that's the bottom. See, I get that beautiful color?
Yeah, it looks.
All right, so once we have that beautiful color on the bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get ready to take it to the oven. Oh, that looks good.
Get ready to take it to the oven.
Tasty, y'all. Okay. Okay. Look, I'm gonna have to give people some COVID care packages. Just stop by 5512. No, I'm kidding. I'll leave them outside for you. No contact. All right. So let's put the glaze on this thing. So here's our glaze, right? And you see just by warming it up how it gets nice and sticky. Sticky is good. So now I just rub it along my fish. I want to cover all the bits there. It's okay if some falls off. It's all good. And then we're just gonna rub it on here. Get it in there real good. Okay. So I got my oven on 400 right now. And so while my oven's on 400, we're gonna take this salmon and we're gonna go right into the oven for about 7 minutes.
All right, we're putting it in the oven. Okay, so we're gonna let that simmer in the oven, and while we do that, we're gonna take a brief intermission from cooking for a special message. Is that all right with you, Chef?
That is fine with me.
All right, we'll talk to you in 5 minutes, okay?
All right, I'll be here in 5 minutes.
All right. So the Ivy Legacy Foundation has given out more than $300,000 in scholarships, and we couldn't do it without events like this one and chefs so gracious such as Dana Herbert. Now, I have a quick story for you all. As I alluded to earlier, I'm a reporter for KYW News Radio. Tune in on 1060 AM or our new FM station, 103.9. A couple of years ago, I met this young lady at our award celebration where the Ivy Legacy Foundation recognizes the scholarship winners, mentors, and community service leaders. So there I met this young lady who was being awarded for a scholarship. Her name is Anaya Aries. And at the time, I think she may have only been maybe 11 or 12 years old. And she had already started a nonprofit called Anaya's Mission. And she was just this extraordinary young person, very motivated, who kind of made me wonder, like, what have I been doing with my 20s? And so when I met her and I heard her story, I just knew that I had to do a story on her. So here's a video from my positive news segment called Philly Rising. I think we have some tape from that. Let's roll it.
Granola bars, pudding, jello, Pop-Tarts, a lot of ramen noodles.
A young person has taken the lead. Lift that up, lift that up. A young person has taken the lead.
So I just want to point out that that was from last year. So Anaya's book has already been released, and she couldn't be here today, but she had a very important message that she wanted to share with us.
Hey everyone, it's Anaya Ayers, the founder of Anaya's Mission and author of The Life Without. I am the proud recipient of the 2018 Ivy Legacy Community Service Award. This scholarship helped me open my Kids Can Care room, which includes toiletries, school supplies, and food to make sure no kid is going home hungry. I need you guys to remember to volunteer, get involved, and donate to the Ivy Legacy Foundation. And remember, my motto, kids can, and just also remember that we are the future.
So as you can see, it was a scholarship from the Ivy Legacy Foundation that helped Anaya to keep doing what she does best, and that's taking care of her community. We are so proud of her and what she's accomplished since then, and that's really what it's all about. That's what tonight is about. And the money we raise from this cookbook will allow us to continue to support hundreds more young people like Miss Anaya. So I truly hope that you will consider purchasing your book tonight, not tomorrow, but tonight. They also make great gifts, Christmas, Hanukkah, they are coming fast. Don't try to get out of buying gifts this year because of COVID. It's still giving season. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, and thank you for listening to my story. All right, so let's see if we can get back to the other star of tonight's show. Chef Dana, how is it coming over there? He must be really busy watching over the salmon in the oven.
All right, let's check it out. Our salmon is looking good. It probably has about 2 to 3 minutes left on it, and then it should be done. And then once it's done, we'll plate up that salmon.
All right, well,
it's important.
Let's get into a couple of questions. You got some time for some questions?
Yeah, we can do that. Who's got some questions?
All right, well, I want to ask the first question. So How did you come across the opportunity to be featured on The Next Great Baker?
Goodness, that's a funny story, and I'll tell you the way God works it out. I saw that on Facebook. They were casting for the show Next Great Baker.
Wow.
And I had been on, I think, 2 or maybe 3 competition shows prior to that. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I know how this is going to go, right? It's like what I call a one-off, which is one episode. You fly out, you make your cake, you do some interviews, you come back. Well, I submitted, and I ended up getting there to that final interview, in which they brought us all the way up to Hoboken. And I walk in, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to take you in here. Sit right here. And I sit down, and I'm like, wait a minute. This looks like the same seat that Buddy sits in when he does his interviews for the show. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh, it is the same set. And so I do the interview, and there's this one question they asked me, and there's like, so you're good with being gone for like at least a month or so, filming this season? I was like, season? Did you say season? Like multiple episodes? So I had to say yes. If you say no, I mean, you'd be gone. You're out right then. So I said yes. And I got in the car. My beautiful wife rode with me. And I got in the car, and she said, wow, that took a long time. And I was like, yeah, but I think I got it. And, some weeks went by, and then I got the call that I was going to be on The Next Great Baker. Yep.
I love that. It's like, when the opportunity presents itself, say yes, whether you think you're ready or not.
Listen, the door's open, and the big guy says you can either walk through it or you don't.
That's right.
And so I just had to be, I guess you'd say, faithful. And I walked through that door. I didn't have the answer because I was working for someone at the time. And when I got the call, I went in and I said, could I have 3 weeks to a month off? They were like, what? And I was like, yeah, there's this show, and they picked me. And he said, all right, well, to be fair, if you don't have the time, I can't like just give it to you. Let me go to HR. Let's see how much time you really have left on your thing. And he came back, and he's like, you're not going to believe this, but you literally have just enough time to the day.
Wow. Look at God.
And so I did it. And I told my boss, I said, listen, if I'm back sooner, then, I didn't win, but the longer I'm gone, the better I'm doing. And so I was gone a long time. Ended up winning that season. I remember being in the room with all the contestants. And this is how I guess you could say you really have to look at some of the opportunities that come before you. I was sitting in the room with the contestants. We hadn't touched anything yet. And I said, you know what, guys, we already won. And a lot of them looked around and was like, what do you mean? We haven't done anything yet, right? We're going for this $50,000 prize. And I'm like, no, you already won. That's just a bonus thing. Like, Cake Boss is re-aired like every holiday. They have these marathons. They're going to do the same with our show because we're the little brother. We're the spinoff of his main show. So he has 2 vehicles running now. And they were like, wow, I never thought about it.
Yeah. So what was that experience? What did you take away from that experience?
The beautiful part of that experience was that I got to see how a larger scale production was run, right? Versus doing a 1 episode. Now I'm seeing how it's done day after day, and how they're working it. I got to meet 9 or 10 other people that I might not have gotten to meet otherwise, and we've become great friends. Some of them I call late at night, like, you have this little pass because it's almost like a fraternity. We've been through the trenches together. So you can call on them and say, hey, how'd you do that technique you did that time? And they'll walk you right through it. And
speaking of fraternity, a lot of people don't know that you're a Kappa, right?
I am one of the pretty boys of Kappa Alpha Psi. Yes, that is us. That is us. I was probably a little prettier back then, a little slimmer, but yes, I am a Kappa. Yep, proud member.
I'm curious, are you mentoring any young folks yourself right now? Any young prodigy bakers out there?
It's funny you say that. I literally just got off the phone last night with a gentleman. It's funny when you have friends in this industry and they know the levels that you've risen to. You get these random phone calls from some of your close college friends like, "Hey D, look, I got this kid sitting right next to me. Can you talk to him real quick?" And I'm like, well, I was in the middle of a cake delivery, but all right, hold on, let me put my headset on, and we just rap. And I just give him the I keep it 100, and I give him exactly what he needs at the time. I told them, even the guy last night, a lot of this that's going to make you successful is beyond just the baking skills. You need to make sure you have the people skills, how to treat people that work for you and how to treat your customers. And if you can master both of those, the baking skills are like the gravy that's just going to take you to the top. But if you don't, deal with the people part, it's always going to be your Achilles heel. So that was one gentleman. And then I have another young lady that's working for me now. She's hungry. And I've realized I can teach her different than, say, someone who's just trying to figure out, how do I ice a cupcake or how do I make a cake? And she needs to, in a sense, she will need to increase her technical baking skills, but I see more in her than what she might see at the moment. So I teach her a little different, and I pose her with different questions, like, say, for example, what are we selling? And I know the common answer for a baker is going to be like, oh, we sell cupcakes, cakes, and cookies, and brownies, and blah, blah, blah. I said, it looks like it on the surface, but what do you really sell? What's everybody selling? She's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you're selling time. Everything else is just a byproduct of time. Doesn't matter what it is, a computer, a car is a byproduct of someone's time that produced the product. You're selling time. And ever since I said that, she's thought different. So I like having students. I also teach at Fairwinds Christian School. I teach their culinary also. So I love to work with kids and shape kids and help mold them.
I love that. And the Ivy Legacy Foundation also loves to work with kids. We work with so many young women in the Philadelphia community, and we are only able to do that through support, through fundraising, and through this cookbook that we're selling. You can pre-order it at ivylegacyfoundation.org/events. All right, how's our salmon doing?
That salmon is looking scrum diddly yumptious. As my wife would say, we have some deliciousness going on over here. So my wife, that's also my camera person. I call her my Tisha Spielberg. Antoinette said hi. She said hi. My wife said you look gorgeous.
Tell her thank her for her service.
She said thank you for your service. I saw her showing off. She got her pearls on and everything. All right, so check this out. Here is our glazed salmon, you all. Look at that.
Wow, that looks amazing.
And look at how the glaze just sticks right onto that salmon. The ginger sticks right to the salmon along with the garlic. This thing is full of flavor. Full of flavor
and easy to make, right? It only took us about, 20-25 minutes?
Right, and I was running my mouth half the time.
Exactly, so easy.
You can make it even faster.
And remember, this recipe is in our cookbook. You can pre-order it tonight, not tomorrow, but tonight. It's in our cookbook. Many more amazing recipes like this one in it.
Yeah. So please, you guys, support. It is for a great cause. I'm telling you, the people in there got some good recipes. Every time I go to the regular event, I'm like, ooh, this person's doing this and this person's doing that. So please come out and support.
So what would you pair this with?
So if it was me, I would prepare that with something that has a little bit of acidity to it. And so what I mean by that is I would do it with something that has some lemon or some lime. So if I was going to do a vegetable, I would do like some sort of sauteed green beans with a little bit of garlic, a splash of lemon juice, maybe even a little bit of almonds, shallots, and so forth. Or you could do asparagus, would go very well. When you're looking at starches, I would probably do something like rice, because the rice would sit there and absorb or soak up some of the glaze that might run off of the salmon. So you still get that full flavor from the rice as well. If I had to choose a rice, I might go with jasmine. I like jasmine rice quite a bit.
Jasmine too.
But that's what I would.
That looks great. Looks really great. And like you said, you can replace it with chicken. And you said possibly tofu. I'll have to try that out.
Yeah. Now I got another surprise here for my
what?
girl.
Wait a minute.
With 20 pearls. Like, hold on, I gotta count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Listen.
7, 12, 13, 14, 15, I think I got 20. I think I got 20 on here.
Whoa. Let me get a closer look at that right there. Now that thing is pretty.
You know, pretty girls like pretty boys.
Let me
That's
see
what
the
we
top
did.
of it. Can I see the top of it?
Oh, on the top of it, we just wrote Philly's Men Are Cooking.
Oh my God, that is beautiful. I love that. 20 pearls, Philly's Men Are Cooking. How wonderful is that? What a nice surprise. All right, now I have a question. And my question is, how can I get a piece of that cake sent to me?
Oh, well, I mean, you could always go to dessertsbydana.com. You could get, you could always check out our website and order up some cake and so forth.
Yes, I love that so much. All right, well, I am just flabbergasted by how amazing this night has been, how great those dishes look. Are you going to taste the salmon? I mean, a good cook tastes his food, right?
Okay, here we go.
Let
Look,
us know
she's
what
like
you
a good
think.
cook. Gotta taste his food. Let's see. Let me see. I want a nice sticky part here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Woo! Come on, y'all. Listen. You got to get the book. You got to get the book.
Absolutely.
I'm about to tell Earl now. I hope Earl's in the book. But I'm about to tell Earl I might got something for your fried fish right now. This salmon
you gotta
right here.
find Earl because I love some fried fish. Okay. That's right though. You can purchase our cookbook at ivyslegacy.org/events, ivylegacy.org/events. And for every cookbook purchase tonight until midnight tomorrow, you will be entered to win a fully stocked wine refrigerator. I don't know about you,
Wow.
but I could use that.
Wow. Let me tell you, if nothing else during this pandemic, I could use that. Let me tell you.
Well, you know what? While we're talking about wine, what wine would pair well with that?
Well, if I was going to pair wine with this salmon, I would tend to go with something like a Chardonnay. You could do a Pinot Grigio. You could even though it's more of a dessert wine, you could even go as sweet as a Moscato would work. Any of those three would work really well with this salmon dish. The Moscato being, of course, the most sweet out of all three of them, but either the Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, or that Moscato would work.
Gotcha. I'm noting that from when I get my recipe book in the mail.
There you go. Look, recipe books are supposed to be living, so you make sure when you get those recipe books, you write all up in those margins.
That's a good note. Y'all hear
wines and your favorite sides.
You heard it from the professional, okay?
Yeah, and then you pass them on.
Absolutely right. All right. Well, Chef Dana Herbert, I want to thank you so much from the Ivy Legacy Foundation, from the Philly's Men Are Cooking team. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. And I love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing because it is making a difference.
All right. All right. Good night to you. And I want to say to everyone who's watching us at home, thank you so much for tuning in. Your support means so much to us. And please, please do not forget to order your cookbook. If you don't remember anything else tonight, remember ivylegacy.org/events, ivylegacy.org/events. I also want to thank the PMAC team who's helping to bring this together. We've really had to pivot with COVID-19, but we're making it happen. We are making it happen for scholarships, for mentoring programs, for students in the Philadelphia area. And I would be remiss if I did not say thank you to our person behind the scene. I want to bring on Di. Where is Di? She has been running the StreamYard, the Zoom throughout this whole thing, and it has not been an easy job. So thank you so much to her. for putting up with all of our stuff and for making us look good, because that's what's most important. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Remember, if you haven't purchased your cookbook already, as soon as we get off of here, please buy your cookbook. All right. Good night, everyone.